Final hour OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Bryan Hayes, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Jason Strudwick. Got our best bets later in the hour. The Yankees are in town. It's a beautiful day here. It's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow, I would think. Is the dome open? Are we tracking that? It's probably not, huh, Doogie? Yeah, why would it be?
You see that wind-up that Nestor Cortez had the other, what?
I know.
Fake pitch? Is that what we're doing now?
I guess we're trying to get creative around baseball, right? And the Yankees are off to a good start. They're 12-4. It's exactly what they needed. They obviously had a terrible season last year. The AL East, everyone is 500 or above. That happens every single year to start the season. Feels that way. You know, it's even the Sox are 9-8. I think they'll eventually fade.
The Yanks love coming in here and dummying the Jays, though.
Yeah, I feel good about them tonight. Like, Bassitt's on the mound. He hasn't been happy about the way he's been pitching, right? He kind of called out the whole staff, which I appreciate.
Except Barrios.
Well, and Barrios
valid.
Should be an outlier. He's been really good. Gausman's concerning. Like, Gausman, he got lit up again over the weekend, and he had the injury issue where he didn't get going because of spring. We'll ask Dempster about that. I have to believe most pitchers would chalk that up to just not a full spring, and he's still trying to figure it out. Kind of felt like they rushed him in. Remember, he had that one start late in the spring, and then he was the fifth man in the rotation. The last game, I believe, at the Trop, or fourth man in the rotation for the 4-game series down in Tampa. But he's had a couple of rough outings, and we'll see what comes of it moving forward. But it does sound as if Romano's going to return here. Swanson's going to return. Danny Jansen's been activated. Kirk is behind the plate tonight. So there are some positive reinforcements coming here for the Jays, and they're 500. And this would be a statement, right? You got the Yankees who are cooking right now. Juan Soto, Judge, make something happen. So Ryan Dempster coming up here in a moment. Something to chew on a little bit later in the hour. The Leafs are back in action tomorrow. McDavid's back tonight, Struddy. We talked about that a couple hours ago. Like, is everyone okay now? No one's, like, nervous anymore? Like, what is the general consensus about McDavid, his status? And what we're talking about here in Toronto is the pursuit of, they're in the playoffs. You focus 100% on the playoffs. The Oilers are in the playoffs. They're the 2 seed. They could play LA. They could play Vegas. Nice to see Mark Stone will return just in time for game one.
I was just going to say, Hayes, like, what a reward for somebody. Vegas, there's Vegas in the first round, man.
Yeah.
It's deadly.
Crazy. But, I mean, did anyone think he wouldn't be ready, Mark Stone?
Of course he would be.
It just, to me, like, I think this has to be amended. There's got to be some kind of a change. Maybe got to be cap compliant for each game in the playoffs. It's just, it's too predictable. It's too much now. We've seen Kane, Stone, Kucherov, and these were
How did they think it was not going to happen, Struddy? Like, once you get a sniff of it with Kucherov in Tampa, it was like, oh, that's how you do it.
Fair point. You think the players, though, do they want, like, I think the players have to say, we don't want this anymore. So how do you, or is it, the ownership, I guess they probably care, but I think the players, like, I'd be pissed off. It's not fair. It's not the same. Not the same playing field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. And yet, that's why Vegas knows how to play the game. They know how to operate within the rules.
And it is legal. It's not nothing unlegal.
It is.
For sure.
And again, but like, Stone was legitimately injured, but I believe he could play probably tonight. If he had to,
100%.
He'd be playing, which that's the issue. It's not that there's guys on long-time IR. It's not that you're using the money when they are on long-term IR. It's players who could play Game 82 that don't and wait until the cap disappears. And that's what's happened countless times. Patrick Kane, you mentioned Kucherov, Stone, Eichel, I believe, did that. And I think you're playing with fire here. Like, at some point, I do think a team's going to get burned. We reference the times it works. It doesn't work always. And there's a chance you're going to insert a guy into the lineup who is rusty, who isn't ready. And,
not
Vegas
going to bring enough.
And it won't bring enough. And, Vegas has not been like this juggernaut this year. No. On paper, they still look like it. They have Cup pedigree, clearly. But if I'm Edmonton, you better not be afraid of these guys. Like, if you're afraid of them, you're done. You're going to lose. You respect them, but you take them on, right, Strud? You have home ice. You're healthy. You're hungry. Yeah. Bring it on. Whatever you got. Edmonton's been great for 4 months.
I'd want to play them in the first round. If I was on that team, I'd be like, I hope that they I want to take him on because a couple of reasons. One, I think, you got to get by this team. It's been last 2 times the Oilers have lost the Stanley Cup champions or the future Stanley Cup champs. So you want to take them on. And I think a second thing is, they have a lot of new players in the lineup. There, some guys coming back like Hurdle and now Stone who haven't played a ton since Christmas. I'm not sure their goaltending. We saw Adin Hill the other night in Edmonton. He was, trying to force it. Doesn't look like he's ready. So I don't think the team is completely settled. What I would want to play is a Vegas team in the second round and how it's worked out the bugs, the kinks in that first round. I would expect it to be much different in the second than the first round, boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is, I think, very, very valid. But at the same point, again, Edmonton may get LA. It may be LA, and they.
I don't want to see that series again, man.
Well,
people in Toronto talk about Florida or Tampa, like Edmonton, LA for a third straight year in the first round. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Edmonton.
If you're
or
Edmonton,
LA
you want it, don't you? Like if you're Edmonton, you're dying for LA, dying for them.
What's neat about LA? I think that you wonder maybe a little bit about the goaltending, a little bit. Maybe they didn't spend a lot of money on it, so you kind of get that. But it's been interesting to watch the evolution of Quinton Byfield from your kind of like he's a really good player, man.
Well, second overall pick,
fast.
Right?
And I think he's a little bit slower than maybe what we saw from Stützle, right? He is really a really good player. Now, maybe on the West Coast, people in Toronto don't get to see him as much. I watch him quite a bit, and I'm telling you, this guy is learning from three really smart centers, 3 really good players.
They played it perfectly, Strud. I think he spent a little bit of time in the minors.
Yeah.
It wasn't just hand him the keys and let him fly and flop. They were patient with them, and they did it right.
Yeah, it's paid off for sure. Something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza later in the hour. Our best bet still to come. Jays Yankees tonight. Here's a good Canadian boy and longtime MLBer and the host of Off the Mound and Marquee sports analyst Ryan Dempster. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great, guys. How we doing?
We're doing very well. We're excited for the Yankees here. You know how it is. Whenever the Yankees roll through town, there's a lot of buzz and Chris Bassitt's on the mound tonight, and after his last start which he actually pitched pretty well and they got the win, he called himself out and the rest of the starting rotation. He excluded Barrios because Barrios has been very good. I'm curious, as a former starter yourself and part of that 5-man gang, how does that go over when a guy calls himself out, which is what Bassitt did first and foremost, but then also gives an analysis on the rest of the rotation not being that good?
Yeah, you better be ready for, maybe an uncomfortable conversation, but I know where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. We all have to be a little bit better. Interestingly enough, they're sitting at 500, and it's because of Barrios. It's because of some of the pitching, not necessarily offensively. So I think that they do have to be better. Yeah, I think you just have to be ready that somebody might want to have a little conversation with you. And most importantly, the best thing you can do is go out there and pitch well yourself. Because if you're going to call other people out, you better back it up.
Ryan, if you were the fan base of the Jays, how concerned would you be about what Gausman's doing right now? He had that injury in spring training, and he's had a couple doozies here. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, whether that's trying to play catch up because of the injury in spring training, I don't know. And then you struggle, obviously, the outing against the Yankees, but last outing just missed location all over the place. And so the thing is, I always go to track record, especially if somebody's healthy. Like if he's healthy now, you got to go to track record because eventually that'll start to iron itself out. So I feel confident in the fact that he would be able to bounce back and be the guy that they're expecting to get. But there's always concern when somebody's to get off to a good start because you're like, what's going on? Why is this guy not pitching like he's capable of pitching? But he also missed some time during spring, and so maybe he's just trying to iron those things out, and it has to happen sooner than later.
There's this magic thing happening with the Jays where this lineup or projected lineup comes from this mysterious place, Ryan. Do you have any idea who gives John Schneider? Because the big debate in the city is guys that are hot are not playing the following day. Like, who produces this lineup and says that's what you're going with? Is that from Ross Atkins or the analytics department? Like, who hands over that piece of paper?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know who hands out. Generally, I think that there's a philosophy around the game now where there's the R&D department who looks at projections and numbers and all the information, the data, swing pass versus arm, the way the ball comes in from a pitcher's arm and who matches up well against that. But I will say this, when guys are hot and they're swinging the bat well, it doesn't matter if the guy's right-handed or left-handed or he throws hard or he's got a nasty slider. When guys are hot, they're just tough to get out. And it's vice versa. When a guy's really struggling, you can try and put all the matchups together that you want, and it just doesn't happen. And that's the ebbs and flows of a season of pitching. It's just the way it is. So, I've seen it this year. I remember earlier this year, Nick Martini for the Reds on opening day goes deep twice and doesn't play the next day. Like, that's to me, I'd have, if I was managing the team, you hit a home run, you play the next day. That's a good way to incentivize guys wanting to be in the lineup. It's like sometimes it looks like a great ball, like a grapefruit coming in there, and other times it looks like a Tic Tac. And for some guys, that's how it is. And I think the numbers and the analytics are great. They beep, pop, 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 beep into a computer, and this is the best lineup for us to win. And I don't know if that really works out.
How does the relationship between the pitchers and the batters work? The Blue Jays haven't scored enough runs and they've let in, or they've surrendered quite a few runs. So how does that work? Because they're looking at each other saying, hey, you got to be better. No, you got to be better. Or is there kind of a split between them? Like, how does that work, that relationship between batter and pitchers on any given team?
No, I don't think I think that's overblown. At the end of the day, like, I don't remember times that, listen, there was games you go out there and you throw 8 shutout innings and you don't, you leave it at 0-0. Do I wish we scored more runs? Yeah, but who wishes they scored more runs more than me? The hitters. Like, those are my teammates. Those are my guys I'm going to battle with. And we got each other's backs through the toughest of times and the best of times, whatever it is. But they're obviously trying to put up runs and we're trying to hold them. And sometimes it happens that they don't match up right. Like whenever you score a bunch and then you give up a bunch, or vice versa. We don't score, well, we don't hit. Like I said, it's 16 games into the year. We're on game 17 now. There's a lot of games left to go. All you do is continue to support each other, be a good teammate, because that's your family. It's your family for the next 6 months, hopefully, and another 5.5 months. But I think it's just the most important thing. You stay united because we're all in this together, and nobody wants to succeed more than the person in that moment.
With Ryan Dempster, so the Yankees are here and they're 12-4. It couldn't be a better start for them. This has got to be a season where they turn it around. They didn't have a great year last year. They acquired Soto, obviously. They're dealing with injuries, including Garrett Cole. Are you believing in what you're seeing with the Yankees in terms of long-term success? Is it too early to know? Where are you at with the Yankees?
No, I'm a believer. I just think that their lineup is so good. The addition of Juan Soto and that the impact that has throughout that entire lineup is so big. His ability to put together solid at-bats, the young guys on the bench watching that. And he gives this a little bit of this real-life possibility, right? Like Aaron Judge goes up and hits, and other guys are like, well, yeah, but he's 6'7", 270. He touches the ball. I can't do that. But when you watch Juan Soto, he's a dude who's very strong. He's built well. He's physique. But it's not like this mythical legend like Aaron Judge is. So you're like, man, I can do that too. I can put together better at-bats. I can be better up there. Look at what he did. He grind in here. He goes the other way with the pitch. And then when he gets in the hitter's count and he gets something over the plate, he drives it. And I think he's made their team better offensively. I think in right field, he's done a tremendous job for them. My whole question with the Yankees, and the only thing is health, just keeping those guys healthy. We've seen it throughout the years, from Aaron Judge with the toe thing last year and things before, and Giancarlo Stanton getting hurt. So if they can stay healthy, they're going to put up runs all season long. That offense is way too deep, and I didn't even get into Anthony Volpe and what a great player that kid is. So yeah. I think they're going to put up runs. Can they stay healthy is their biggest question.
Yeah, Volpe's off to a great start. He's had a lot of hype, obviously, as you know, Ryan, the last couple of years, and now he's established, and he could be a stud for them for quite some time. And that's really the story of the whole division. Like this Holiday kid, Jackson Holiday's up now for the Orioles, and Matt Holiday's kid, and number one prospect in baseball. He's rocking. He's probably never going to go down, probably play for 20 years. And the Orioles are 9-6. The Rays are doing exactly what they always do, just plodding along. Actually giving up a lot of runs, but still 9-7, finding ways to win. Like the AL East, I feel like I'm in the same position every year by mid-April. Every team is 500 or better, and it's just going to be an absolute grind for 5.5 months.
Yeah, it really is. It's a juggernaut. When you go top to bottom, like there's not a team in the division that's quote unquote tanking or rebuilding or whatever you want to call it. They're all in this trying to win it. They got combination of veteran players. You got that young youth influx in Baltimore. I mean, I think that's the league's envy, at least from an executive standpoint of like controllable young pitchers and position players where they can project what their salaries are going to be and how to keep these guys together and try and lock some of them up. But stud after stud after stud. And that comes from, good scouting and good player development to not miss on draft picks. And across the board, you have all these teams in a division that have good plans in place, whether they can spend money, and if they can't, they develop really well. So I think we've seen it last year with teams all the way down the end, so close, everybody in it, a game or two away from the wild card, and I don't see that changing this year at all either.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's going to be a fun one with the Yankees in town. John Sterling, I don't know if you heard that, the longtime voice of the Yankees, retired effective immediately today. I've always wondered, I'll ask these guys who played, in the NHL, do you ever go back and watch your highlights or YouTube clips or famous people that called your games? You ever do that, Ryan? Like anyone in some of your more famous stops, or, in Chicago, Boston, or whatever, like just famous play-by-play guy? Vince Scully ever called any of your outings? You ever go back and track that stuff down?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had obviously a chance with Vince Scully and Harry Callis and different players. And John Sterling, my second Major League start was at Yankee Stadium on Fan Appreciation Day in front of 55,000 people against David Cohn. I gave up a couple home runs in the first inning, and, those calls that he had, Tino Martinez taking me deep. And no, I definitely do. I have a very deep appreciation for these gentlemen. He called over 5,000 straight games.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's incredible, to think about that. And, so definitely a big appreciation for these guys and kind of what they have been able to do. And he's had an unbelievable career, and a Yankees Hall of Famer, a National Baseball Hall of Famer. He's a legend.
Ryan, it's always great catching up with you, buddy. We'll do it again down the road. Thank you for this.
Absolutely. Enjoy the series. It's going to be fun.
You got it. Ryan Dempster, good Canadian boy. I didn't mean to bring up a sour memory of him getting torched in the first inning at Yankee Stadium, but
he hated you for asking.
Not very welcoming.
Yeah, any John Sterling calls? Yeah, I got torched my second career start, 2 home runs in the first round.
Not the best.
Not the
What's
best.
your worst memory?
Those Yankee teams were heater teams, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they were so good in the 90s.
They were so good, and it wasn't all like what they've tried to assemble now, like All-Star, Stanton. We got to get. There was just some really good, solid ball players.
It's homegrown guys like Posada and Jeter and
Paul O'Neill,
and
Bernie Williams.
Yeah, Bernie Williams, exactly. They, Andy Pettit.
George Costanza.
George Costanza. Yeah, exactly. They had a
Who
great
was their
run.
third baseman? It was like Scott Brocious or something.
Was Brocious playing third? Yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't remember in the 90s.
But it wasn't like this. They were really good players, but it wasn't like free agent 100 million. It was just good players.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was, and it kind of changed when they got A-Rod, right? That was kind of the beginning.
That was the changing of the card.
Yeah, once A-Rod showed up, it's like you realized they were doing business differently at that point, and eventually they won another World Series in 2009. But
who was the second baseman or shortstop? Remember, he came from Minnesota, I believe.
And Chuck Knobloch.
Chuck Knobloch could not. Remember, he had the yips.
Yeah,
that was hard to watch.
That was horrifying.
It's so
man.
sad to see that someone who's done the same motion for
I think
his
one
whole
time
life,
he grabbed his glove with the ball in it and he underhand tossed the whole package over to first base.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
to lose that, to get those yips is incredible, man.
Exactly. Like there have been pitchers who can't throw to first base.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. Like John Lester was one. I think that's who you're referencing. Oh, he would, if there was like a dribbler to the mound, he'd grab it and throw his glove to first base. And it was wild because he was a lefty who couldn't keep a base runner like honest. Like there'd be guys taking like huge leads because they're like, Lester's not going to throw over. He's going to put this in the fifth row. But yeah, the yips it happens with chipping, putting, throwing. I don't think there's a hockey yips. What would be a hockey yips, like a goalie playing the puck. Maybe just avoid it and stay in your
goalie playing the puck. Dude, I've had the yips where it's just you lose your confidence offensively, and you're like, "Do not pass me that puck right now because I'm going to chop it into a triangle." You're just like, "I can't do it right now, please." And you try to cover it up with dump and chase mentality. It's like, I'm going to put this in a corner and I'm going to destroy somebody to make it look like you know what you're doing out there. Yeah. That's your only way around it. That's why if you don't have that secondary thing to bring to the table, you can look like a moron out there. If you're a strictly skill guy, it's like when you don't have it, you're useless.
Yeah. It's hard. Or for me, it was like when you're taking a rush and you don't want to have to break it out. You're like, please hard rim the puck to the other side. Please do not soft chip it. And he soft chips, you're like, oh, my God. Now I got to go back and throw a grenade up to my partner, up to the winger, and they're not happy. Just hard rim it. Hard rim it.
That probably would be the yips, would be like a stay-at-home defenseman who gets too much ice and his brain freezes and he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Up. He did what I did in the first half hour there where you just seize up and you're like, I'm not thinking right now.
Yeah.
I had no problem with the D-man, though. Half slapper right along the glass and it's getting out or I can deal with it somehow. Don't try to make some stupid pass that you can't handle. Just that's what you do. So don't try to do anything else. Get it out.
When it get to the games that get out of hand, or if they're mad at the power play lines, that's when they'd call old number 34.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I don't want to go on the power play. I haven't played power play since I was like 15 years old. So I'd go out there and all the other guys are going to be like, oh my God, look at this penalty killer out here. And it was just, I would take the shortest shifts, like just break on my end and come back like, tight groin.
Yeah.
It is, I hated playing power play.
Can you give me a quick one on the power play?
Yeah. Just. Don't stop.
That's tough.
It's painful. So painful.
Well, you guys made it. That's all that matters. Something to chew on coming up. We'll get to some Strud or Dud as well in our best bets. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoffs, we need to cheer like we've never cheered before with the fans we've always cheered against. The cup needs to come home, and you need to catch all the action at your local BP Sports Bar. 4 Canadian teams are going to punch their ticket to the playoffs.
Well. Hang on a sec. The Winnipeg Jets. Let's talk about them when you're done your read.
Okay, well, I am. And I was just going to point out that we've been asking people on Twitter, how should the Leafs handle Auston Matthews' final 2 games? 87% of fans saying let him go for 70 goals. 14 or 13% saying rest him for the playoffs. Not an exact science, but that's what my vote would be. And it's not just about the 70. He can play. It doesn't mean he's awful in the playoffs, right? Like he's an athlete. He's in his mid-20s and healthy.
Who else is resting? Like, is Zibanejad, Panarin resting tonight?
I'm not aware of their lineup.
No one else is resting. It's just like, let's just be normal here. It's a normal game.
I know. Yeah, like you don't. If he's injured, then rest him and don't play him. Obviously,
right.
But he's not.
Got nicks and he's banged up. You say, you know what? 70's got to take a break. Sorry, but.
I think what you do is you can squeeze a little bit of ice time off the top guys and push that down to the bottom. Because it's not just about those guys being rested at the top. It's also about those guys on the 3rd, 4th line feeling like they're ready to go.
Yes.
Right? So maybe
let them rock and roll, Struddy.
Yeah.
And Austin, when the power play comes, stay out there for 2 minutes if you want. 4-on-4, you're going out there. You're basically playing special teams tonight.
100%. Like, let those other guys get their beaks wet and let them feel their games in the right place. I think we forget sometimes, and it's funny. We talk about the top guys got to be the top guys. Then when the bottom guys don't produce, well, they're not good enough. Well, it's hard to produce at 6, 7, even 8 minutes is hard. It's if you get close to 9, 10 minutes, you can kind of stay in the game and get going. So I'd really be looking at that group to keep that bottom 6 playing and or giving them more ice time so they feel like they're ready to go for that game 1.
I think that's a good point. That's on Keefe to do it. Play him, but play him 15 minutes. Load up on the power play. There's an empty net and he hasn't scored. Get him out there. Stuff like that, and then go about your business. Say the right things publicly, which is what they're going to do. They're all going to say the right thing. And they got to protect him. Like, he needs to be consulted on this, which I'm sure he has been and will be. But he's got to do the answering in terms of whatever decision they're going to make. Because you can't throw. He's going to say the only thing that matters is the playoffs, which I think is largely true. But I think he also wants 70. Of course he does. And we said this a couple hours ago. Leaf fans have been deprived of a lot. Give them 70. Okay? Allow
Why
Leaf fans
not?
to enjoy
Why not?
70. Why not? Exactly. All right, what do you want to ask me about my Winnipeg Jets? I've always been a believer, and I love
Struddy,
love
him
the
and
way they're
Noodles
playing.
just went on and absolutely slapped around the Canadian teams in their rankings last week.
Really?
They had the Oilers, who I think could go on a massive heater. They had them at 10 or 11.
No, I had Edmonton
they
at
had
like 5.
Vancouver.
Dude, I
you
had
had
Edmonton
Vancouver.
high.
Jeez.
Dude, you did not have Edmonton in your top 5.
Yes.
Minimum 7. Okay? And those Winnipeg Jets, man, they stormed into Colorado and they smoked the Avalanche.
Yeah, they did.
7 calls.
They've beat them twice earlier in the year, too. They've got their number right now.
You just watch out for those Winnipeg Jets, and you guys disrespected the pair of you, all of Canada. Next segment, what are we doing?
Okay. I want to ask Struddy something. I saw the Oilers just tweet out your picture, Struddy, saying that you're part of a fan appreciation night.
Yeah.
Look at you, Struddy.
Yeah, guys, I don't like to toot my horn. Pretty big deal within the south side of Edmonton.
I love it.
So yeah, I guess.
What are you
they're-
doing for the fan? Like, what do you got to do?
I mean, I think I'll be cleaning the ice at intermission.
That's good.
You know what? No,
Okay.
you know what? Actually, I did do that. So during the pandemic,
I saw
the
you.
first
You
year
put
of
the
pandemic.
tracksuit on and stuff.
Yeah, and
That
I
was
went out
great.
there. And I've never been more nervous. Mike Smith's a buddy, and he body checked me. I'm like, I'm just trying to do my job. I was yelling at him.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I'm not doing that. But no, I think Gretzky. Well, it sounds like he was with you, and you guys are hanging out, swapping stories in
Yeah.
Augusta. So
Yes.
Gretzky's out, Strudwick's in. Not much of a change.
That's basically the same level of celebrity, I would assume, in Edmonton. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. I think I'm the only person in Alberta who hasn't met Wayne Gretzky. I
You
swear,
haven't
I
met Wayne Gretzky?
Never.
What?
I've never once. I'm like, I got to get this over with. Like, he's obviously excited, but I've never met the guy. I got to find a way to.
Yeah, it was something to see him at Augusta because it's a great place for celebrities, I would assume.
Yeah, because it's golf hat, glasses, and leave me alone.
And there's no phones.
Yeah.
No one can
Right.
run up to you and snap your picture and say, "Can I have a selfie?" or what, And as we know, like the way Augusta is run, it would be frowned upon to bother people or whatever, or just be, everyone's kind of on their best behavior. So I saw a couple of people going up to him and talk to him. I'm sure he was incredibly cordial, but Gretzky was there. Larry Fitzgerald was there. There was, there's a million celebrities walking
Dude,
around.
I'll
down
tell
there.
you what, that DJ's game. Some of those live guys golf
He's
games,
done.
they're just like, thanks for the bread, and like there's a part of them that probably misses the serious competition of a tour event. You could have all the money in the world, but that nonsense with the music and only 3 rounds, it's like your
goofy.
games are just going to crap.
know.
Yeah, I mean, there were guys that performed pretty well, obviously, like Hatton. Hatton is wild to see live because he's snapping all the time. Like
Dude, he will not stop yelling at the putting greens. Like he was
Yeah.
having a great round and he started swearing. His caddy must drink brown liquor at just an alarming rate
Yes.
listening to that guy for 18 holes.
yeah.
But if you've won before, you've got championships, and you have all this money in the bank, like, I could see the motivation maybe leaving you a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, you got a young family or living on the water. Like, yeah, maybe I'll just go swimming today instead of hitting.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I think that's what happened with DJ. I think he's the most obvious guy, and he's been pretty forthright about it. He's like, I went because I don't want to play as much. Like that guy has won. He gets to go to Augusta the rest of his life. He's won a U.S. Open. He's won $100 million. He's won every year on tour. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and I think he's just like, I don't really care. If I win, that's great, but I'm not playing all the time. Like he said before the last live event or whatever, he's like, I didn't even play in the off season. The live,
geez.
like he basically said, I'm not training, I'm not preparing, and I'm just going to show up and play, which also makes live look awful that they paid that much money. And their original, it was him and Mickelson that were kind of the original poster boys with Koepka and DeChambeau. And it's just like, yeah, I don't play and I don't want to play. I don't think that's a good marketing campaign. But anyway, you guys want to fire up some Strud or duds?
My oven's already ready. I got my oven mitts on, and it's like,
Perfect.
The nice apron. Kiss the cook apron.
Yeah. Kiss the cook apron. Those are the corniest aprons.
Oh, yeah.
Kiss
It's
the
usually
cook.
some guy with the greasiest mustache, your uncle that's just creamed at a Christmas party and just Rick breath everywhere. And he's just wheeling around.
Kiss the chef. Or kiss the cook. Yeah. So we've got this thing fired up at 4:50. The Strud muffins are going in. And let's begin with the first one. Strud or dud? Ilya Samsonov, regardless of his recent play, has still locked down Game 1 starter role status.
That's locked in starter role
Locked
status?
in. It's over. It doesn't matter what just happened. It doesn't matter what's going to happen tomorrow or Wednesday. Samsonov starts Game 1. Strud or dud?
I'm going to strut it, but I don't. It's a half-ass strut, I'll tell you, because it makes me nervous because we've seen it time and time again where you get to a certain point in the playoffs and it's not NHL goaltending. You go back to Freddie Anderson, to Jack Campbell, to Samsonov last year. It's like hurt or poor performance. It's like, guys, you got to have NHL goaltending. It's if you want to take the flyer and look how many teams are on flyer goalies right now, and we'll see where it gets some of them. But you generally get what you deserve. And if one of these guys, and I would have a quick trigger on any of them. It's like if it doesn't look like you have it, see you later, and I'm going to the next one, and it'll be Martin Jones in a flash if need be.
Man,
Yeah,
dude,
Strud,
why do you think Martin Jones is such a bad?
He hasn't played in 2 months. When was the last time he played? I know he's backed up a couple of times.
He should have played more. He should have played more.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
It's a half-ass strud, if there's such thing.
The burnt muffin. It's a bad, burnt, horribly done muffin. Dry
Too
muffin.
dry.
Okay,
yeah,
too dry.
I'm with you. I think it's a Strud muffin, but it's almost by he's the best option you have right now. Like you look at Winnipeg, I think that they know who their goaltender is. He's a stud. And then even Colorado, I'm not sure that I love that matchup for the Avs when you're going head to head with that goaltender. So I think for the Leafs, it's going to be nerve wracking to start. I think if you can start the playoffs okay, that'd help a lot. But as a teammate, you're like, ooh, mama, we'd like to see him kind of going in at a higher level of play than he has shown just recently. The short little span.
I'm a Strud too. Because Wall hasn't been great. And I think that sticks out here. If Wall was chugging and then really making it a competition again, then I think all bets would be off. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think they can trust Wall based on how he's played since he's returned from his injury. It doesn't mean Wall won't get in there, but it could be a scenario where Samsonov starts Game 1, and you see how it goes, which feels like a really stressful way of operating. But it has happened before. There are references. Noodles brings it up all the time. Teams that go on to win where they had one guy starting Game 1, and by the end of the playoffs, it's a different goalie.
How many examples of that? There's Corey Crawford and Darling in Chicago.
Yes. There's Holtby and who was the guy? He's in Seattle now. What's his name? Was it Grubauer?
Yeah, Grubauer and Holtby.
I thought it was Grubauer and Holtby. Vegas had 3 different goalies last year. Yeah, Vanacek. Who was that, JP? Was Vanacek one? Yeah. So anyway, there has been a few examples in the last 4 or 5 years. But the other one, of course, is Vasilevsky, where it's that guy just is in net and he goes to 3 straight Cup finals, and it's very predictable. All right, moving on here. Strud or dud? Auston Matthews will win at least one more Hart Trophy during his career.
100%. Fully baked, fluffy, and enjoyable Strud muffin, just a big, gigantic Strud muffin.
Okay.
Muffin, man.
Okay.
Yeah. God, I hate that thing too.
I really hate it. JP, I don't think so, man.
No,
it's your world, JP, but I don't know, man. We
got to come up with a Wayne's World stud muffin or something. I cannot listen to that guy's voice.
Yeah.
I want to just slap that person that says that. Whoa, the Strud muffin.
I know. It's from Shrek or something, JP?
Yeah, it is from Shrek. Yeah.
Oh, you're Shrek.
Anyway, I am
Strud,
so just a big man like that can score, play in his own zone, because I guess people are giving credit for that now as far as the Hart Trophy. Mm-hmm. This is a gigantic, gorgeous Strud muffin for me.
Oh, man. I guess who is he competing against? Who is he competing against, right? So how many more, does Kucherov, can he get one? Can McKinnon get one? Can McDavid get one? You know, how far are we away from talking about Connor McDavid, perhaps? You know, is he in that mix? So the competition feels Leon Draisaitl. You know, he's another guy. So I think I'm going to say no. I don't think he will get another. I think he'll score a ton of goals, but I do not think, because even this year with scoring 70, I don't think he's the guy. So, you know, how much more can Auston Matthews do than he's done this year to earn this? So guys, I'm sorry.
You're saying a dud.
I say no, just because I don't know how much more he can do. And I don't think does he win it this year? Do you guys think he wins it this year?
I don't know, because no one's giving a flat out answer that has a vote. And I don't have votes, obviously, because we're not included in something.
And there's
like
some
that.
serious morons that vote.
Yeah, and I think it could go anywhere from McKinnon to Kucherov to Matthews to McDavid, as we know. We've stated that. The point you make is well made, though, Struddy, that this guy could score 70 and not win it. When's he going to have a better year? How is he? If you don't win it when you score 70, what the hell is he going to do in the future?
What more can he
There
do?
was talk a month ago, Strud, where if you score 70, you win the Hart, and it's just non-negotiable, and you cancel out Kucherov's 140, McKinnon's 130. 70 was a number that was canceling out everything. I think the population has swayed, though, and gotten off of that. I don't know why. I think 70 would be the trump card.
Yeah, I think it's that, again, Kucherov, like you said, has got 141 points, and he's probably going to hit 100 assists. McDavid could hit 100 assists tonight. McKinnon's done what McKinnon's done. I mean, the other guys have been great. I'm not downplaying how difficult it is to focus on one or the other. Point is that he's going to score 70, and he might not win it. Likely won't win it based on the odds. That leads me towards a dud, yet the guy is the clear-cut best goal scorer in the world, and I think he will continue to be that for years. So if you hold on to a category like that, I'm going to say Strud, because he'll be in the mix. He's going to have lottery tickets. Is it as obvious as McDavid's going to get another one? We know it. It's how many will he get? He will get another one. But
what's he got right now?
He's got 3, I believe, McDavid.
Yeah. Jeez. So who else is going to go? Who else is Kucherov? Or who do you think Draisaitl gets another one? Or
that's the thing. Draisaitl's in the mix. I feel like Draisaitl probably has to go somewhere else to get one. And what I mean by that is when he won it, remember McDavid got hurt at the end of the year. I remember they went through the Florida swing.
He was hurt for a substantial amount of time.
He was out for a while. Draisaitl was cooking, and he was unreal. And that's how Malkin got his one. Malkin got his one when Sid got hurt. Yeah. And when Sid was playing, it was Sid's team. And when McDavid's playing, it's McDavid's team. So I don't know if Draisaitl can get it. That I think is an issue for him. But like Pasternak, how does Pasternak not win one at some point when this guy puts up 125 points and 60 goals every year?
And his team gets 110 points. Strud, did you ever have a defense coach lean down to you and say, Strud, you're cooking right now?
No, never.
Never happened.
They were doing a great job with the penalty kill, Strud.
Boy. There you go, Strud. Get back up, get back over those boards, buddy. Go make it happen.
I do feel bad for Auston Matthews in some ways that you're doing so much and producing so much offense, but it doesn't seem to be enough.
Dude, it's like those guys on that golf course yesterday. You don't think Max Homa golfed his rear end off? And they got to be just saying, much like when it was Tiger Woods' time. Yeah. Whatever I do, it's not as good as that guy. If that guy's on, I will not beat him.
Yeah,
and that's brutal. That's a tough place to be in.
It is. It's got to be pretty defeating, especially in the sport of golf when you're by yourself, and to look at one other man and be like, my best does not beat that guy's. Just if he's on his game, I got no shot.
That's
where Scotty's at, man.
That's where he is. I saw the interview with his caddy, Ted Scott. That guy's the happiest man on
Dude,
earth.
He's won 4 green jackets.
I know, but do you know how much money he's made with Scotty Scheffler in the last month and a half?
He's made 15 sheets this year.
Yes. Scheffler in the last 35 days has made some insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And that cat's pulling in. Ted Scott's probably made $1.5 million in the last 35 days.
That's pretty good.
Dude, Scotty's average earnings per tournament, I think it was the last 50 events or something. Not 50. It was the last 2 year, whatever, is $480,000. That's his average of earnings.
Yeah.
It's like his caddy is rolling in dough.
That's
it's crazy. JP just said he's already reached top 10 in terms of
all-time
career
earnings.
PGA earnings. Now, it's a bit deceptive because with the live stuff and the amount of money now they've pumped in, it's a good time to get hot. But, I was thinking about that when I was down there because they have plaques all over the place. They had a great Arnold Palmer plaque, and obviously Arnold's one of the most famous and beloved players ever, and in many ways, kind of built the Masters into what it became in terms of its popularity. And I'm sure if you were watching him, like Palmer win his second at the time, you're like, oh, that guy's a great player. But okay, we'll see what he's got. And now you look back, and you're like, look what he turned into. That could be what's happening with Scheffler. Like we could be in a decade saying this guy might be a top 5 player ever.
Yes.
Like maybe not. Maybe he spins off the other way, or he ends up winning like 12 majors. And just
Valhalla. Like I can't see him losing that golf tournament at Valhalla.
Yeah,
I mean it's the same as Tiger. The year that Tiger won the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, and it was going to St. Andrews, and everyone was like, that guy's winning that golf tournament, man. And he cooked everybody. I feel the same way about Scotty.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. He's so much better and so much more in the zone than anybody. All right, Strud or dud, final one. Back to what we were getting into earlier. A fully healthy Vegas Golden Knights should be the favorites to win the West.
Can you go half a Strud?
No,
like half a muffin with butter on it?
Just a muffin top or bottom?
No one says hug the chef or hug the cook. Can't do it. Where you at?
I'm going to go Strud. I'll go Strud on Vegas being a night. Hang on, let me explain. When you get those horses back, and my God, did that Thomas Hertel look like he meant business last night. He had a couple goals, a game winner, 8 shots on net. He's rejuvenated. You throw the captain back in there, and they might get the juices flowing like last year. Full-blown, fully baked, oversized, unexpected Strud muffin.
Okay.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
I'm saying no, guys. I'm saying no. This is why. I do think that they're going to have a hard time early in the playoffs than late in the playoffs.
You got to say dud first, Strud.
Dud. It's a dud. So he's got to go through. Those guys have to. I want to try to pinch them out. If I'm on another team, I want to pinch them out right away because the longer they go, they get their feeling, get their rhythm. So I think they're in more jeopardy early than they are later of struggling in the playoffs. So I'm going to say a dud.
Yeah, I'm going to dud that too because we've seen Dallas do it all year. We've seen Colorado do it all year. Obviously, Edmonton's been very good recently. Vancouver's been good. The Jets have been good. There's so many good teams in the West that I don't think there is a clear-cut favorite. And Vegas coming together, fully healthy. It looks good on paper. We haven't seen it all together. And they're in a different spot. Like last year, they were the 1 seed in the Pacific. This year, they're going on the road. Maybe that changes something. Maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe now that you've won your cup, there's 2 ways you can go with that. You're motivated to do it again, or you've been there, you've done it, and you're not as motivated this time.
Gas tank's a factor, too. Sometimes you just say, you know what? Not everyone's Tampa. Not everyone can go back-to-back, and you just run out of steam, man.
Really tough to do, man. Really tough.
It feels pretty good, though, to have either Hannafin, Pietrangelo, or Theodore on the ice all the time. Like,
pretty good.
Jesus, man.
Pretty decent 3 guys. So if they all, when they play together, split up, you could have someone on the whole game.
Don't you just look at that team and it's just like, you look at it and they're like, how do all these players fit? Like, how do they have those good
I know.
They just get a guy and it's Barbashev. They get a guy, it's Hannafin. They trade for a centerman, it's Eichel. It's just really weird how other pickups are just not like that. And it's like, how's that working?
Well, exactly.
Like,
and that's the frustration.
Depth defenseman is Martinez, and it's like, these are all the best players in the league.
I know. Well, and that's it. You mentioned those 3 high-end defensemen. The other 3 are monsters, like White Cloud and Haig and Martinez.
Big
so
bodies.
It's just like, all right, those 3 guys can do everything, and the other 3 guys are going to clog up the middle of the ice.
Put out fires, like Mark Lathot says. Struddy used to
Exactly.
put out fires. Just rim it around and put out fires and be a total pain.
Can you imagine playing with one of those 3 guys? It'd be such a treat. They want the puck. They want to break it all the time.
Yep.
You just have to be the hammer time in front of the net in the corners. Like,
They called
sign me
Struddy
up.
the Forest Ranger back in the day because that's all he did was put out fires.
That's right.
Problem in the corner, activate
Strud
the Forest
muffin.
Rangers.
Yeah.
Yes,
Strud
Strud
muffin.
That's shut down the cycle. That is the joy. Like, let's shut down some cycles.
Forest Ranger, put out fires. Just get over there with the spray can and put it out, Struddy. That's your job.
Such a treat. That's easy. Don't give me the puck.
That's one way of doing it. That is probably a pretty good game plan. There it is, Strud muffin. Strud or dud is over. The alarm is going off. We've burnt a batch. We need someone to
It was
actually...
great again. I love it. It's my favorite segment
it's
already.
Great segment.
Solid.
All right, we'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Jays, Yankees tonight. Justin Turner to record a hit, leading the league in batting average right now.
Professional hitter. He's
been outstanding. I believe he gets a hit tonight. I think Bassitt over 5.5 strikeouts. Called himself out. The staff hasn't loved the way he's been playing. It won't be easy. The Yankees
Better
obviously
be
work
good.
the count. But I think he shows up and pitches tonight. And I like the Jays plus 1.5 tonight. Plus 1.5. I think it's a close game, or they win this game, and Juan Soto to record a hit as well. There's your same-game parlay for the game tonight. Jays, Yankees. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and find thousands of ways to play. Please play responsibly. 18 plus and physically located in Ontario.
I'll do a side 20. I don't want to be negative, but I think Bassitt gets rocked tonight. You think he's going to be good?
I think he'll be good. I think he's a professional pitcher. You said what you said about Turner. Bassitt's been in this game for a long time. I think he shows up at home. I like the Jays tonight. I do.
Okay.
I like the Jays. All right. So, yeah, we'll see what comes of the Yankees in town this week. We got the Leafs in action tomorrow.
Big NHL matchups tonight for that last spot in the
Big time.
East.
Big time. Big time. The NBA's wrapping up. The NBA playoffs right around the corner. The Raptors had pretty depressing media day today. It was just a mess. I mean, it was just a disaster. They finished 25-57. But now it's all about the draft lottery. That's what matters next for the Raps. Do you win a lottery? Do you keep your pick, or does it get passed over to San Antonio? Probably the 7th overall pick, which will be tough. WNBA draft tonight. After Caitlin Clark, we'll see where it goes. Some Canadian content in that as well. We look forward to it. All right, Struddy, good seeing you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Got to go sign some autographs, guys. I'll send you some.
Please do. Say hi to everyone out there in Edmonton. Jason Strudwick on his way to the game to sign some autographs. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Struddy the Forest Ranger. Great job. 4 p.m.
Thanks, see you guys later.
We'll chat then.